Hey guys, my name is Misty Warren. Today I'm going to discuss with you a country most of you have heard of, Guatemala. I typed my blog in letter form and I'm just going to read it back to you. That way you have a better understanding and it's more organized. Guatemala is the most populous country in Central America. The country relies highly on its agriculture sector to support its economy. Guatemala is rich in natural resources. Many of its natural resources include sugarcane, corn, bananas, coffee, and beans. These resources are grown and harvested, some for consumption but mostly for exporting. In 2013, they had an estimated $10.99 billion in exports. This is once again why the agriculture sector plays such a huge role in the country's economy. United States is the highest import partner for Guatemala, holding 40% of the country's imports. Even with this income to the economy, many of the country's citizens are living below the poverty level. To be exact, 54% of the country's population is living below the poverty level, with 13% living in extreme poverty. Low wages and poor living conditions are some of the causes for the high poverty rate. Many organizations have been established outside of the country to offer support for Guatemala's population living in these conditions. Guatemala's government has been negatively affected by corruption and greed. Just recently, the country's president and vice president were both convicted of corruption charges. In my opinion, in order for Guatemala to see economic growth, it needs to have a strong, honest government. Before any changes can be made, the country needs to have a stronger economy. This means eliminating corruption and ensuring funds are being used correctly. It suffers from its lack of technology. This is a hindrance for much of the country's growth. The government needs to establish programs to increase the amount of technological resources available to the country. Once this is increased, Guatemala can use it to attract industries to bring in higher paying jobs for its people. The country also needs to establish a well-rounded education system. This would ensure the country's youth would have an education that could offer them better opportunities. With more technology and education, Guatemala could see an increase to its jobs, which would have a positive effect on its economy. Guatemala is a very poor country. With the correct people in charge to oversee the country and its economy, Guatemala should see some changes from its current condition. The country has been in civil war for 36 years. Since the wars ended in 1996, major obstacles have been removed to increase foreign investments. Important reforms and macroeconomic stabilization has taken place since the end of the war. Guatemala still has a lot of growing to do. The country has the people and resources to see major growth. Guatemala is in need of the leadership to support this growth. Shortly after the country's president was convicted, a new president was elected. In October 2015, Guatemala elected Jimmy Morales. Morales promises monetary support from the country's health and education. Mr. Morales also supports the anti-corruption movement and proclaims Guatemala is going through a renaissance, or also called a rebirth. Hopefully, with a new reformed government, Guatemala's economy will see some positive changes in the upcoming years. Thank you for listening, and if you have any more questions on Guatemala, please feel free to email me. Thanks.